Hey guys, welcome to another New World video. In today's video I want to talk about the state of the game and why I think that after playing on the March PTR that the devs are completely lost when it comes to the direction of the game and may ultimately fail the game and the community that remains. I generally am positive, and as everyone knows, I do love New World and have been rooting for it since day one through all of the bugs and issues, but a few things have happened lately that I just can't ignore anymore. It may surprise you also what I think is the worst thing. Not so much that this was added, but what adding it means and why I think it is so damaging. When I first read the March PTR notes, I thought to myself, wow, these are some great changes. Because on paper, without really thinking about it, they do seem to be. Adding a new expedition, the addition of new world encounters with decent loot, some nice OPR changes and so on. It all felt really great. And of course, a lot of content creators, along with myself, really got our hopes up that this was going to be the turnaround. Now, I am not on copium. I know this would not bring people back overnight, but it was a step in the right direction. At least this is what I had thought. Then I logged into the PTR when it went live, and I set out to testing all the new exciting content. And at first it was fun, very briefly. Then about an hour in it felt, how can I best describe it? Patronizing, I guess, would be the right word. These changes almost feel like the devs are looking at us straight in the eyes and saying, we don't care what you want. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but honestly it's how it feels, and I will try to explain why. When New World first released, it had an explosion of players, which quickly dwindled because of bugs, dupes, exploits, the grind, whatever the reason. It took a big hit, but this was not a surprise. All new MMOs always do. Then we were down to about 100 to 150k players, and the game felt pretty healthy. Even though the big media YouTubers called it dead, it didn't feel dead. There were always a lot of people online, and the game was still fun. There was just one complaint that resonated throughout the community. Remove the orbs from expeditions. The devs addressed this. They told us they had put the orbs in place in order to throttle content. They wanted us to gear at a regulated rate. They didn't want some people spamming the expeditions and gearing overnight. Fine, that made sense, I guess. So we moved forward, and some people who just did not like this left. So our population dropped a little bit more. Then they released mutations and a new set of orbs that they told us in the dev video that we would have multiple ways of getting, and that they imagined us running these multiple times a week or even a day to progress through the tiers. The community was pretty hyped, and then they released and again, heavily gated. We could only get 2 orbs per week, one crafted and one from our faction vendor, and the price of entry was very, very extreme. The community once again screamed, please let us run it more. We want to be able to run mutations more, stop gating it so harshly. And the devs responded once again, at first by saying they didn't want us over-farming Umbrals because they wanted it to be special, something we slowly acquired, increasing our power over time. Then finally they reduced it a little, but still only allowing us 1 additional orb per week. And then of course, more people left, leaving us now with a population of about 19k during peak. Servers are ghost town, benches have degraded because there are not enough people to fight in the invasions, or to even maintain the upgrades anymore. This leads me to the spit in our face moment I felt on PTR. They were willing to sacrifice almost 100% of the player base for this key system no one liked. People who loved this game and just wanted to actually be able to play it. To experience the content and not have it cost 30 to 50k per slot for a run, which was ridiculous. They did not hate the expedition. They were not unhappy with how they worked or the difficulty. They were playing through the bugs. They were playing through the other issues. They simply wanted to not be gated out of playing over some arbitrary lockout gating system that they kept being told was necessary in order to throttle progress. Then, once they had all moved on, what did the devs do? Add Rafflebones. An NPC that spawns all over the map, spawns in locations that are always the same, spawns often and is not loot capped, that drops 400 Umbral shards to any level 60 that kills it even if it is level 20. After 45 minutes on the PTR, I managed to only casually checking the spots I knew to acquire 3,000 Umbral shards. This is before gypsum crates, which yield a ton, before the OPR, which yields them now. Just killing a ridiculously weak NPC that doesn't even fight back in 45 minutes of playtime. Now I know some of you are going to say, why complain about it? Well, there are 3 easy spawn points. This one in Reekwater, and these 2 in Shattered Mountain. If you travel between them, killing Rafflebones at each stop, he will always be up every time. I only encountered 2 stops that he was not up in my 45 minutes. And yes, I know easy loot and upgrades are great at first, but long term, are they? Wouldn't you rather be running content with friends, overcoming things, feeling accomplishment, ungated to get these Umbrals, not solo camping yet another spawn? So what's with the orbs? Is it a system one of your staff created? and you just can't let it go because they're so very proud of it? Because at this point, I don't think you can in any logical way look at us and say it is to throttle progress. Because I can take a full set of gear from 600 to 625 in like 1, maybe 2 days now with Rafflebones, OPR, and the gypsum crates done properly. Your players love your game. That should be enough. No one asks for a random mob that drops a ridiculous amount of umbral shards, which ultimately will just serve to make the remaining players who lag behind bored in a week, when they've all maxed their gear. We asked you to remove the orbs, even just remove the cooldown and leave in the crafting cost. We don't hate the content, we hate that you won't let us fucking play the content. All I can think now after killing Rafflebones a few times is that the devs are completely disconnected from what the community wants, and it feels daunting. I had hoped so hard that this game would get better, and now I feel so discouraged. You could implement one change without the need for a PTR, one hotfix that would probably bring some players back, or at least definitely keep the remaining ones from quitting. Remove the cooldown on the orbs, both from the faction shop and crafting. Keep them in, that's fine. You love them so much. People can farm then buy them, and actually get to run the content. And as for throttling, there is enough gear RNG layers and expeditions as it is. Gear score, item type, the item you're after, and so on. The chances anyone could do it in a day, even spamming them, is not small. And then on top of that, why gate it, but then add 4 ways to get 10 times more umbrals than mutations even offer? I listened to that dev, on the run with Asmongold and that crew, the other day comment that players at gear score 600 won't run Tempest, they will be doing mutations. No, they won't. You've gated it too much, and now you can max out your gear by camping a ridiculous treasure goblin. Why on earth would I pay 10k plus for a run of a mutation that costs resources, special gear, a group, and time, when I can get as many if not more umbrals sitting AFK in Reekwater for an hour? Now, please do not misunderstand, this is not me shitting on the game. As I have said over and over, I love this game and I want it to succeed, but sadly this is not how that is going to be done. So please people, get on the PTR, even if only for long enough to submit feedback, and tell them to stop making things easier, trying to short-term please people, and tell them how they can actually fix things so people can actually play. Maybe it'll change nothing, but if enough people address it, these people will prove whether the devs are ignoring us or not. They can't just say in the next dev blog they have listened to the community and are doing X and Y if the community tells them what's needed and they ignore it. Okay guys, sorry for the rant, but I just wanted to share my thoughts on where I think the game is going to go after the March patch goes live. Everybody keeps talking about whether you should come back or not. And all of these YouTubers and streamers are generally paid by Amazon, and if they're not, they're getting some sort of kickback. I don't think it is going to go well if they leave in the cooldowns for the keys and keep adding these cheap umbrals. After 2 weeks of getting them, what is there going to be for us to do? What do you guys think? Do you totally disagree? Let me know in the comments. And until next time guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.